Hi, beautiful. Another one that is a biggie for us in emerging is that fear of disappointment. And when disappointment actually makes us smaller, but it's one of those quiet, hidden things. It's a hidden protection mechanism. It's something that sits just under the surface of that very reasonable, very responsible you. And it's not a lack of faith, because you're full of faith. And it's definitely not a lack of spirituality, because you're definitely soul connected. But it's something more than that. It's the fear of disappointment. Because at some point in our life, we probably asked for something with our whole heart. We hoped, we imagined, we believed. And then, boom. Boom, boom, boom. It didn't happen. Ouch, And it didn't happen the way that you hoped it would. And the nervous system goes kerplunk, wah, wah, wah. And the brilliant protector that is within us made an adjustment, because we're practical and we're smart and we pivot fast, because we were smart when we were little kids. And it happened young. And so we said, ouch, that hurt. It hurt a lot. And I don't want to be hopeless. I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to live from a disappointed place, because we're mostly cheerful, right? And we don't want to ask for too much and then not get it. So what we do is we get super hyper realistic. And we keep those expectations very reasonable. And we don't get our hopes up. And we suddenly become super normalized. Our conversation with life changes. Instead of asking oh, God, show me what I came here to live and enjoy and experience. We thought, well, what's just going to be enough? Can things just be good enough, And that feels weak, It feels like settling, and it isn't actually settling. It was protection for your nervous system. And your nervous system learned that hoping could bring a big heartbreak, And so it tries to keep us safe. I want to thank my inner critic, yuck, for helping me to make my dreams smaller, at that time in my life, because I didn't like disappointment. But it has a cost, and it's a cost of what truly protects us is not asking for less. And not shrinking, and not allowing ourselves to believe what is actually possible, But we do have to give, I feel, credence to the emotional safety that we rely on, that's going to not keep us disappointed. And when you're disappointed, that disappointed self shows up as moody. Well, let's get out of what we intellectually, the mind tells us is true. And let's think about the emotions of that smaller child that we were, that experienced disappointment. And the subconscious created a pattern. Things don't always really work out for me. And it's soft. It's a whisper, don't get disappointed. Good things can happen, but not big good things. And so I believe that our mind sort of just becomes more rigid. It tries to protect our heart, especially if it happened in love, young love. And the mind just thinks, I'm going to protect my heart. I'm going to be practical. Don't get carried away. Let's manage those expectations. Well, the unified field, it's very responsive. And it listens super closely to the identity that we are going to be living from that included all that limitation and disappointment. So the inner conversation says, don't get your hopes up, and then we live a little more with a blanket of caution around us. And just absolutely not because the universe is withholding, but we withhold. And the nervous system feels a little safer in that. It holds a frequency of, I guess, I'd call being guarded, right? So where in your life do you feel guarded? Whew, that just makes me gasp. I'm like, oh, I live with I do live in a lot of miracles, but I am more aware when I think about the emergence of this month. I am more aware of when I've been guarded. My body shows me that, like when I'm puffy and it's like, oh, my fascia, it's pretty dehydrated. And, I drink a lot of water, but I think being in constant adrenal activation, I definitely hold that patterning. And I think that we can switch this at any time. Like, life doesn't have to prove something before we believe it. It's like we have to believe it before life proves it to us. So let's start a new conversation with ourselves. Life is always working out for me. Everything's always working out for me. Things align for me beyond, I love this, beyond what I know to ask for. Because the divine is active. It's active in my frequency, and it's arranging amazing things. I mean, for all the things we get disappointed in, and on the things that have happened that are hard, we lose people, we lose things, we lose careers, we lose things, circumstances, right? But really, if we lean on the divine, we see that everything does have a purpose, even if it feels horrible. Then we, even if we lose somebody, and then, I don't know, losing my dad, I realized I lost my dad, but my dad, when I feel his spirit, is so expansive. He's so expansive. So I lost the expansiveness of knowing before this life of where I was before I got here. And so death feels hard because in this plane, I feel, clingy towards life and those that I love and things that I've grown and don't want to lose them, and things that seem intense in our world and don't know how to micromanage or control it because it feels like it's bigger than us, but it's not. Your desires are bigger than anything. And so we don't want to force any beliefs around ourselves that are going to pad us and protect us from disappointment. So we have to reopen that heart space. So the real invitation for today is not to fully eliminate fear because we are 3D, but to understand how to move in its patternings, to know that we're human, to know that it's going to pay us a visit, but it doesn't have to shape our lives like it has. We don't want it to write our story. And maybe it wrote her story, right? But we're the change. They always say, be the change you want to see in the world. We're the change. So disappointment closes the heart, and then belief and bliss open it up again. We want to create because that is what we're here to do. That is like the one thing that sets us free in the quantum field to jump into a new timeline is to create. Build, expand. Just let your space, your energy space, just move way beyond you. There's a willingness when we give ourselves freedom to imagine something better. And that imagination can be like fantasy, sure, but just see it as God imagining through you. So when your heart starts to picture a life that seems more peaceful, more harmonious, more abundant, more aligned, and more supported. This isn't naive. It's actually the divine stirring, that possibility inside of your consciousness. And then also let's activate our subconscious too. Let's be completely brave. Let's let ourselves hope again, design again. Not recklessly, because that's like a imbalance mania, but back to gently, fluid, with a good measure of curiosity and a heck of a lot of trust. It's almost like saying to life, okay, I'm going to try this again. Okay, I'm going to try this again is not coming from disappointment, right? It's not. It's coming from possibility. It's coming from knowingness. It's coming from, I don't always know what's best for me, but that which made me does. So let's stop guarding our hearts. Let's reopen the door. Let's say, I'm in the business of miracles, and the divine is patient with me because I forget, my capabilities, but it's ready for me all the time to be asking, knowing, and living bigger again. And that's where the truth lives. When we're ready to make that decision to be all that we can be. To be fully all that we can be. To be fully who we are. I love that. I love that for us. I love that for us. It's our true identity.